Order. All seven board members are present, and we have a quorum. Fort Smith Public School Board meetings are open to the public. However, audience members are not permitted to interrupt the meeting in any way, and anyone choosing to do so will be asked to leave immediately. Next item on the agenda is the reading of our mission and our vision statement. Our mission: equip all students with skills to be productive members of society. And our vision statement: we are a destination district built on relationships, collaboration, and a culture of excellence. Please rise with me at this time for a moment of silence to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And now for recognitions. Ms. Mundell, please introduce our recognitions for tonight.
Good evening, Kimberly Mundell, Executive Director of Communications and Engagement. Before we begin tonight's recognitions, we have a special presentation to celebrate Theater in Our Schools Month. The Maverick Theater is comprised of very talented students from both Northside and Southside high schools and is here to share a performance with us this evening. We also would like to recognize an outstanding achievement by Miss Chloe Entrican. I hope I pronounced that right. Miss Chloe is from Northside High School and has been elected as one of only 5 state thespian officers for the 26-27 school year. This is definitely an incredible, prestigious, and highly competitive honor for thespian students around the state, and we just want to say congratulations to Miss Chloe, and if you will just join me in welcoming the Maverick Theater.
And I'm Bryson Gosh, and we're from Troops 2620 and 2201. We will be performing The Flesh Failures, Let the Sun Shine In, from Hair the Musical, with music by Jerome Rainey and James Rado. Starve, look at one another short of breath, walking proudly in our winter coats, wearing smells from lavatories, facing a dying nation of moving paper fantasy, listening for the new told lies, with supreme visions of lonely tombs. Somewhere inside something there is a rush of greatness. Who knows what stands in front of our lives? I fashion my future on films in space. Silence tells me secretly everything.
space songs on a spider web sitar. Life is around you and in you. Answer for Timothy Leary, dearie. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine in. The sun shine in. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine in. The sun shine in. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine in. The sun shine in. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine in. The sun shine in. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine in. The sun shine in. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine in. The sun shine in. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine in. The sun shine in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maverick Theater. Next up, we have Darby Middle School students recently competed at the State Health Occupations Students of America, or HOSA, state competition. The students earned first place, securing them a spot to compete at the national level this summer. So we want to congratulate Ms. Fiona Hansen, who placed first in Foundations of Veterinary Science. And next, we want to congratulate Miss Samaya Hardgrave, King Jones, and Marley May for placing first in exploring medical innovation. Congratulations to these outstanding students. Next up, congratulations to Mr. Mike Burke-Pyle. He's the orchestra director at Southside High School. He was recently named Orchestra Director of the Year by the Arkansas chapter of the American String Teachers Association. This is a very prestigious honor that recognizes outstanding leadership, dedication, and excellence in string education across the state. So congratulations. We have a lot tonight. Southside High School counselors, Miss Savannah Smith, Isila Avila, apologize, y'all. Stephanie Legri, Cindy Lattimore, Sarah Williams, and Tricia Yapez. They are the first high school in the state of Arkansas to earn RAMP designation. RAMP is a recognized ASCA model program. For those of us not in the counseling world, the RAMP certification recognizes schools and counselors who effectively implement the ASCA national model. It's a data-driven framework that enhances student success and prepares them for productive futures. So congratulations to them. And almost near the end here, we'd like to thank Mr. Dalton Person, who has not only been our school board president since 2023, but he also holds the highest bench press record at Southside High School. Mr. Person joined the school board in 2020 and has provided steady leadership and a strong commitment to students, staff, and families. Mr. Person, we want to say thank you for your dedication, your leadership, and for the time and care you have invested in our schools and our community. We are grateful for your service. Yeah, absolutely.
While family's coming up for a photograph, just think of the last 6 years. These are the few things the board and under the leadership of Dalton and our school board has accomplished. We have a state-of-the-art facility at Peak Innovation Center. That's happened over the last 6 years. We have students earning industry certifications, technical certifications, concurrent credit, college credit, and associate degrees at that facility. That was over the last 6 years, so very proud of the board in Dalton. Capital improvements, which include major facility updates, safety upgrades, including our police department that's back here, and community partnerships. Academic improvements, which included curriculum audit of the entire district, updated frameworks, and grade level instructional focus. And then also strong student services with 100% free breakfast, which is a major voting option that our board and Dalton did over the last 6 years. And then staff investment, historical increases in certified and classified staff salaries over the last 6 years. So thank you, sir, for a job well done.
And now we would like to welcome the Honorable Judge Sam Terry of Sebastian County District Court to swear in our new board member, Matt Garner, and board members, Ms. Maria Martinez and Mr. Phil Whitaker. Thank you.
Mr. Garner, we'll start with you. Have you raise your right hand? Do you, Matthew Garner, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Arkansas, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Fort Smith School Board Zone 5 upon which you're about to enter? Congratulations. Ms. Martinez, have you raised your hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of Fort Smith School Board Zone 4 upon which you're about to enter? Congratulations. Raise your right hand. Do you, Philip Whitaker, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Arkansas, and that you'll faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Fort Smith School Board Zone 1 upon which you're about to enter? I do. Congratulations, Mr. Whitaker.
Next item on the agenda is the election of officers. Mr. Mahan.
Yes, this is the time that you all will work together to elect president, vice president, secretary, and of course you can do a slate or you can do individuals, and that's strictly up to you as a board.
Does anybody have any questions? That being said, I will entertain nominations from the floor for a slate of officers or each individual office. And with that, I don't mind making my motion, staking my claim for your board president.
Do we need to, if he just did one, then do we need to do just that one?
I'm just simply vocalizing.
One at a time,
that
or
I'm-
do we need somebody to make a slate? Because I
think-
have a motion for a slate.
Sure.
Mine would be Phil for president, Susan for vice president, myself for secretary.
We have a slate presented on the board. Any discussion, any comments, concerns?
Yeah, so what would you, as president for the board, what would you continue that we've done or that you've experienced? And then what would you change or lead us into for the next year?
I think in this moment that we're in right now, one of the largest things that I am personally excited about is the work that's being done by our new superintendent, Mr. Mahan. That's something that I don't know that is an opportunity that will present itself to find a new superintendent in districts. Sometimes those are very few and far between, and I think that we have landed an absolute gold mine. I would like to walk him through his first year of his goals, his evaluations, and follow through some of his practices that he's got in place right now. I will say, without the shadow of a doubt, I think we have by far the best district in the state of Arkansas. I look forward to serving alongside of you. The largest thing in this position is almost ceremonial because we don't hold any power individually. Everything that we do is as a collective board. I think in this particular moment right here, being the current vice president, being the longest tenured board member, I think that's just a simple quality that sets myself separate and above any other candidate potentially. But I don't necessarily know that I have anything that I have agenda-wise that I want to prove myself individually, but more so carry on much of the successes that we're finding in our district as it is.
Well, I'll second the motion of the slate or for Phil Whitaker for president, Susan for vice, and Ms. Hall for secretary. Did I get that right? That slate? Phil, I've seen you pretty involved in school visits, on training, and so I think you do a great job as president.
Mr. Harding, that means a lot. I sincerely appreciate that. So we have a motion, we have a second. Here we are. All in favor, speak your piece. It could get rowdy. With motion to approve, all in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like it carries 7-0. Thank you. Let the record state Philip Whitaker, president, Susan Kraft, vice president, and Ms. Brittany Hall as your secretary for the upcoming school year. Thank you. Next item, now open meeting for public comments. This is designated time for community members to address the board.
You missed one. Right there. Designation of district.
Next item on the agenda is to consider the designation of board dispersing officers. Mr. Mahan.
Yes, I'll ask Mr. Charles Warren to come up, and we'll have two motions in this agenda item around dispersing officers. Mr. Warren?
Thank you. The dispersing officer is the officer of record that will be part of the signature block of disbursements of the district, both payroll and accounts payable, as well as, well, that's the main focus of it. There is a need for an alternative of record, but most of the signatures will be accepted through the dispersing officer. Just one added note, it primarily has been the president as the dispersing officer with the vice president as the alternative.
Seems pretty cut and dry. I'm okay with moving forward if If you all, any discussion? Entertain a motion to nominate Philip Whitaker as the primary board dispersing officer and Vice President Susan Kraft as alternate board dispersing officer to serve until the next annual election. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Kraft. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Lynette Lott. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Carries unanimously with a vote of 7-0. Next, we will entertain a motion to adopt the attached resolution designating, these all look to be the same thing. Is that right, Mr. Mahan?
Yes, sir, this one is the resolution. Mr. Warren, any explanation on this one? That is the second.
No, sir.
So to carry through with Philip Whitaker as a primary board dispersing officer, and again, Ms. Kraft as the alternate board dispersing officer to serve until the next annual election. Again with a motion.
Second.
Okay, I'll move and then you second. Does that work? Yeah.
Motion to approve, Ms. Kraft, second with new board member Garner. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Looks like it carries with a vote of 7-0. Now that we've got our wits about us, now open the meeting for public comments. This is a designated time for community members to address the board on matters before us. We currently have 2 speakers for tonight. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak. We welcome your input and encourage you to speak respectfully, avoiding statements about specific students or district staff members. Board members will listen to the citizens' participation, but will not enter into dialogue with the presenter or respond at the time of the presentation. The board may choose to discuss the issue presented at a later meeting, but is under no obligation to do so. The board will now hear from those who wish to make public comments. It looks like first on our list tonight is Michelle Walker. Ms. Walker?
Hello, board members. So good to see you here, and congratulations to those of you who are new board members. I can't say that I recognize many faces up here in front of me, except one I've known for a long time. I do recognize many faces behind me, and I will say that as a teacher at Southside, this is my 35th year. I'm an instructional specialist, and I do have the utmost respect for our administration. I think we have a fine, fine administration, and I want to start by congratulating them and thanking them for their support and thanking you guys for all the hard work you do. Those of you who are new, you don't know what you've gotten yourselves into, I have a feeling, but we appreciate everything that you do for us. And I know it's a lot of work, and it oftentimes goes unrecognized. And so seriously, I do thank you. One thing teachers learn in schools very quickly is that we are like a big family. We are. In fact, you just heard our slogan. Our slogan begins, we are a destination district built on relationships. And so that's one of the things I want to highlight tonight. We celebrate together, we struggle together. Sometimes we simply survive after a long day together with a lot of coffee and a lot of patience too. And so, as in any family, the real test of who we are comes when someone in that family is going through troubled times. And so I'm here tonight to talk about our catastrophic sick leave policy 3.8 that is up for revision. And I hope you'll hear me out on this, because this could potentially be a very life-altering decision in front of you. Tonight, I want you to look beyond policy language and budget lines and administrative recommendations, and I want you to consider the human beings, the relationships behind those policy, and that those words mean. Every day in our schools, our teachers, we show up, not just as a job, but to take care of our kids. We comfort them when they're scared. We celebrate their successes like we've seen tonight. And we stand beside them when life is difficult. And our catastrophic leave is one of the policies that stands beside us teachers when life becomes difficult for us. It helps us when something unimaginable happens. A life-threatening disease, a devastating accident, a medical crisis. And that policy lets us know we don't have to face it alone. All right? I do want you to stop and think about your favorite teacher for just a moment. Get that picture in your face or in your mind. What if that teacher had been battling cancer or recovering from a major surgery or lying in a hospital bed fighting for his or her life? And what if that teacher faced termination? Not because they didn't care and not because they were not a good teacher, but just because they became sick or debilitated. If you choose to approve the change to policy 3.8, that is what could happen. Teachers who are great teachers could face termination while they're battling for their lives in the hospital. Now, you're going to hear from these people that it's a liability, but we have other policies we have other things that take teachers out of class for much longer periods of time that are more of a liability. And so I'm just going to ask you tonight to please consider that this is a policy that could change someone's life, absolutely. It could take away their livelihood and and it could take away their insurance when they need it the most. So I see my time is blinking at me. I have about 5 pages of speech, but we just ask that you please, let me finish with, I urge you to protect this policy, protect the teachers who've devoted their lives to our students, protect the families who depend on them, and protect the message that our district stands for: relationships and people, not just financial matters.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Walker.
you.
Next up, Ruth Ann Nelson.
Good evening, and forgive my voice, I'm very hoarse. Members of the board, thank you for allowing me to speak to you this evening, especially concerning this proposed policy change that Michelle Walker was just speaking about. I want to say ditto. And also, I represent Darby Middle School on the PPC committee, and whenever I'm asked to look at policy, I try to ask myself a lot of questions. I'm a question asker. I ask other people questions, lots of questions. So I started asking questions of myself about this. An important question that I felt was, why is this being proposed? What is the need? Is it solving a problem? And if it is, how big is the problem? How crucial is the problem? We've had discussions at the PPC level and in a policy subcommittee, and I feel that I haven't gotten all of those questions answered. I know the issue's been raised that teachers on extended leave might leave some of their students without a qualified teacher in the classroom and might put a burden on their coworkers. But I also heard that this is not a financial consideration because it is very rarely used. And those two didn't match to me. If it's very rarely used, how can it be such a burden? So I believe that the PPC requested some actual data about how often this has been used over the past 5 or 10 years, and probably in a matter of timing, we have not been able to get much of that data. I don't know what it would take to collect that. So I kind of feel that would be important information to have for me to consider and for you to consider. Another question that I ask sometimes is this important right now? I know that the PPC, the certified PPC committee voted pretty overwhelmingly to reject these policy changes in their current form, and I believe classified PPC did as well. Is this issue so time sensitive it must be decided tonight, when also a large number of teachers, secondary teachers, are at parent-teacher conferences and cannot be here to voice their concerns? Or do we have an opportunity to research it further, bring stakeholders together, and see if we can reach a more acceptable policy compromise? But the first question that came to me on this was personal. Who does this affect? And that answer is that this could be a lifeline for those in our family who may be facing the worst challenges of their life that Michelle talked about. And I want to specifically address those who are facing cancer, like stage 4 metastatic cancer. That's my diagnosis. And it was the diagnosis of a friend of mine that I lost last year who was a teacher. And I know there are other things that can be done. There are other options that can be offered, but I know that her final decline that took her from the classroom to hospice was very quick. And I don't know if she would have had the time or the strength to meet and take those meetings. And truthfully, her leave options could have expired, and she could have been terminated if this did not exist. So in her name, I wanted to speak to you and say, I think we can do better.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Nelson. Next agenda item is the superintendent's report. Mr. Mahan.
If you guys didn't get to say everything you wanted to, please email those comments to us, okay? Thank you.
I want to pause for a moment. Can we get Matt logged into his computer? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
What's that? Okay. Do you, Go ahead. Okay. Well, good evening, members of the board, and appreciate the time tonight to do the superintendent's report. Start with the communications and marketing plan that we presented back on March 9th. I appreciate your attendance for that work session. Also appreciate the communications team. They did a great job of providing the overview of the draft comprehensive communications and marketing plan. During the April board meeting, we'll provide you a hard copy that'll be all prettied up as a resource for you to continue to have. And that presentation on March 9th will count as my completed goal 1.1 of the comprehensive marketing and communications plan. So we're proud of that and proud of the great work of communications in that regard. Also, goal 1.4 is the creation of a transparency dashboard, and I'm going to present that just real quickly tonight. I know I've emailed you all the link, so you've been able to look at this. But just want to talk about, this is goal 1.4, the transparency dashboard. This is updated based on Facebook feedback. Will you scroll up a little bit? We'll update that photo too. But those are things that we've heard that we feel like are always public knowledge, and they're always somewhere on the website. So we've simply put public knowledge in a very easy spot to locate. And our goal is to continue to update that as we get information. I had some great feedback from Mr. Harding on adding the statement. And just to let people know, sometimes when you talk about a transparency portal, you get a little criticism because there are things we can't be transparent about. That includes real estate or crisis plans or personnel issues or litigation or student discipline. There's things that we can't put out there. So, but we will continue to try to put that forward as a priority. Thank you, sir. Also, a couple of consent agenda items I'd like to point out. We'd just like to congratulate Mr. Chris Carter. He's retiring as Northside High School principal. He's done an amazing job at Northside. We appreciate the legacy of leadership he leaves at Northside High School and in the district, and so we certainly want to wish him well in the future. Also very excited to see in the consent agenda that Ms. Stephanie Freeman is recommended for the new Director of Career and Technical Education. She's been at Peak since the beginning, and she's also been in the district 27 years teaching, counseling, and working with career and technical education. So we're excited to recommend her that. As you know, the community reached out and presented a desire to name this administrative facility after Dr. Gooden. So we are following the policy. Dr. Bones providing the leadership to make sure we bring to you in April some names, as well as our committee members, Ms. Hall, Dr. Davis, Mr. Warren, and Dr. Bone, to bring to you in April the names that have been put out as recommendations, and then by May board meeting have the name that by policy could be placed on this administrative complex if you so desire to approve that. Also, just to continue to keep finance in front of you all, I've talked to my team and Charles. I'm intending to put a 10% cut on all operational budget expenditures next year. What we did is we looked at a 3-year average of spending, a 3-year average of budgeting, and just the 3-year average of spending would be about I think it was about 4 or 6% cut, and then we'll just increase that by a 10% cut. We'll also set up a system in place so if there's something that arises that's emergency need, they'll have a process to submit a form to overturn that reduction for something that's urgent. We'll set that up as well. We've also continued to look at being leaner at the district admin office. So we have 2 positions that we will not fill, which will give us a total of 5 over the last 10 months at the central office that we are not filling at this time. As I've told you in the past, if we see that student services suffer, we may revisit filling those in the future. But right now, we're trying to be very lean. Also wanted to show you this. You all got a thank you card from Woods Elementary robotics team. They are going to nationals, and they want to thank you all for your support. And we got to see them off, get their medallions and their trophies the other day. It's pretty neat. And I know they will do well. There is no doubt. And finally, just real quickly, I want to welcome Matt Garner to the team. I'm so thankful that you have a willingness to serve and a willingness to do this. It means a lot. All of you are, as mentioned earlier, are giving a lot of time, a lot of commitment to our staff and our students, and I appreciate that. And then some good things. We'll talk about Woods Elementary again. Woods Elementary celebrated its 50th anniversary with a special evening honoring the school's rich history. Former principals shared memories and reflections. The choir delivered several wonderful performances, and guests enjoyed a tour of the campus. It was a fantastic turnout and a meaningful way to celebrate 50 amazing years at Woods Elementary. Morrison's next. What? Oh, okay, it's not on my script. Woods is first. Well, let's start over. Morrison Elementary is also celebrating 50 years this year. Their celebration included a fun family STEM night featuring several local vendors. Northside hosted students giving checkups to students, stuffed animals, and even a special proclamation from Mayor George McGill. It was a wonderful evening and a great celebration enjoyed by all. And that's Morrison. Do we have a Woods picture? This is the Woods picture, as I mentioned earlier, as Woods was outstanding. A lot of celebrations this year, 150 for the district, and a lot of celebrations at school sites. Cook had a celebration earlier this year as well. Let's see if Bonneville's next. Okay, yeah. Bonneville Elementary hosted a multicultural night for students and their families. Booth representing cultures from around the world were on display, giving attendees the opportunity to learn about different traditions and enjoy a variety of delicious foods. Great evening. And graduating seniors across the River Valley connected with more than 50 employers during the River Valley Career Launch event at the Peak Innovation Center. The Career Expo reflects a collaborative effort between local schools, higher education partners, the chamber, and regional employers to help students successfully transition from high school to meaningful careers. The Expo brought approximately 700 students from 15 regional schools, including Fort Smith, Northside, and Southside high schools, and about half of the businesses conducted on-site interviews with students, and so we can get them started on the right foot. I also like to congratulate 3 of our students for placing in the Optimus Youth Essay Contest. Holly Wisely from Southside, first place, $250 scholarship winner. Jordan Mays, Northside, second place, $150 scholarship winner. And Jessica Ferrari from Southside, third place, $100 scholarship. So congratulations to those students. And also, always love to congratulate our March Superintendent Star students, consistently making great choices, demonstrating exceptional citizenship, and serving as outstanding role models for their peers. And those include Sophie Maddox at Beard, Vivian Hudson at Kavanaugh, Eileen Palomares at Cook, and Emma Gregg at Cornell. And this includes my superintendent's report. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Mahan. Next agenda item is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is voted up or down as a whole unless a board member asks to pull an item for individual consideration. As always, we have the consent agenda listed there if you want to take a look at it. If there's anything that anybody would like to address, pull for further consideration. If not, we will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion, Ms. Lott, or Ms. Kraft. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Harding. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. It carries with a unanimous vote of 7-0. Up next on the agenda is to consider adopting the licensed and classified personnel policy changes. Mr. Mahan.
Yes, this next item on the agenda is consider adopting licensed and classified personnel policy changes 3.1, 3.8, 8.51 through 8.54. And Dr. Davis is here to present.
Before I get started, I'm going to introduce you to the president of our chairperson of our Certified Personnel Policy Committee, Mr. Ryan Gray.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, guys. Members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I haven't often been in front of you in this capacity because of the great working relationship between the PPC and our administration. I first want to give Dr. Davis, Ms. Pennington, and the administration members of the PPC the credit they deserve for their willingness to work with the PPC to come to agreeable terms on almost every issue that comes to the committee. That work has paid dividends for our students, for our district, and for our staff. Our administration is full of wonderful people, but good people can have professional disagreements. This is the first time in the history of our PPC, which I've chaired since its inception. Was that 8 years ago? 6 years ago, something like that. However long, it's been a long haul. But I've been the chair since its inception, and this is the first time we've not been able to come to agreeable terms. Tonight, I'm asking you to vote against removing this portion of the catastrophic leave policy. In a year where educators are already being told there are no raises available, removing this policy makes our contracts worth less. Benefits are part of compensation. When you take one away, you're effectively asking people who serve this district every day to accept less when they sign their contracts for the 26-27 school year. In a year where staff will not be rewarded with raises while cost of living skyrockets, I would caution the board to think long and hard about the message it would send to remove a long-standing benefit and legacy policy that sets our district apart. The PPC requested the numbers of employees who have actually used catastrophic leave, the number of days missed, and the cost analysis of the policy to the district. Those specifics were not provided, but what we do know is the number of people that use this policy is very small. This is not a widespread cost to the district. It's a rare safety net for employees facing the worst moments of their lives. Another point we've heard consistently is that the policy could be abused. But the reality is simple. This policy has existed for decades and there's been no pattern of abuse. Our educators have proven that they use it responsibly and only when it's truly needed and can be trusted. This policy is about basic human dignity. It ensures that when someone's battling serious illness, they're not forced to worry about losing their job or their health insurance, or having to worry about switching to a different kind of insurance in the middle of a health crisis. Without getting into specifics, we have had employees who used catastrophic leave who died while on that leave. I want you to think about that. What would their final days have been like if they had been forced to spend them worrying about insurance and employment instead of spending time with their families? Since this policy has been discussed, I've received emails from multiple employees who depended on this leave during cancer treatment, but have since returned to work and are now healthy and working with the students they love. To a person, these folks emphasized how important this leave was to them during their cancer treatments. This decision is going to send a message. It tells employees whether the district stands with them when they are at their most vulnerable or whether they're on their own. Strong schools require strong educators, and strong educators deserve a district that stands behind them when they need it most. The best option tonight is simple. Vote this proposal down and keep the catastrophic policy in place, as is. But if the board believes there are administrative concerns that need to be addressed, there is another path forward. The Personnel Policy Committee is ready and willing to work cooperatively to find solutions that address those concerns while still preserving the heart of this policy, the protection it provides to employees facing catastrophic illness. What should not happen tonight is the complete removal or partial removal of a safety net that has protected employees in this district for decades. Both PPCs had unanimous votes against this policy change. Tonight, for the first time in the history of our district, a united staff of both classified and certified PPCs are here with a unified voice to ask you to vote to keep the catastrophic leave policy in place as is, and I would encourage you to answer that call. Please stand with your educators. Protect the people who dedicate their lives to Fort Smith students. Thank you very much.
All right, good evening, President Whitaker, Mr. Mahan, members of the board. I wanted to talk to you about an agenda item that you have here, and that is our personnel policy revisions. There are actually 3 revisions in the policy, one that is specific to policy 3.1, which is removal of language around national board stipends in the text of the policy. I do believe that that provision was passed by the Certified Personnel Policy Committee. The reason that we're requesting that that be removed is because that's the only stipend that's actually listed within the text of the policy. The rest of our stipends and addendums to the contract are listed on the salary schedules themselves. And so that language is requested to be removed, as well as a revision to our sick leave policy for both certified and classified employees. So I will kind of dive into that, and I'm wondering here, I'm going back and forth between the screens to see which screen I can see better, the one in front of me or the one up here. So what I want to talk to you about, first I want to thank my colleagues for coming and speaking to you tonight. We have had a great working relationship with both the classified and certified PPCs since 2019 in its inception. The points that they're sharing with you tonight, it takes courage to get up here and stand in front of you all to speak their minds and speak for their staffs. So I do want to thank them and the work that they do. With that being said, they are exactly right. We can have professional disagreements about what happens, and I want to present the information to you all as I see it, and then let you all decide how to move forward. But what I want to do is first talk about why is this presentation going on right now? So the first thing I want to clear up is that this is not a proposal to eliminate catastrophic leave. If you notice in the policy, we're looking to modify the policy for the extended catastrophic leave, which is a partially paid version of catastrophic leave that is exhausted at the end of the exhaustion of all of the leave. The recommendation is to remove that additional partially paid layer. I do want to speak to a couple of comments that were made. It was requested that I provide information to the Personnel Policy Subcommittee. I got 24 hours notice. This information comes from our Payroll and Benefits Office. They were able to give me 2 years worth of information. This is sensitive information about employees, and so I didn't feel like there was a great way to redact it. But what I can tell you is in 24, 25, and 25, 26, we've had one person on the certified staff use this policy. And so what we are looking at and what I want to challenge the board tonight is that we have a benefit, and the term liability has been used here, but we have a policy that has a really extreme high side, but it doesn't affect a great number of employees. And so what that does as administrative staff is it prevents us from being able to look at benefits that are going to more broadly impact our staff. And so I do want to just make sure as we go through here to be thinking about, when we have a policy or we have a provision of a policy that we're looking at that prevents us from being able to look whole scale at what all 2,000 employees that we have, and it prevents us from being able to provide benefits that we might otherwise be able to. So a little background, the committee, as an administration, we recommended this revision back in August. I met with the Personnel Policy Subcommittee of the Certified PPC. I also met with the Classified PPC as well as the Certified PPC. This policy was actually passed unanimously by the Classified PPC back in August. When we met with the Certified Personnel Policy Subcommittee, we went through the removal of the policy. We were asked for additional time, so we eventually pulled that item from the agenda back in August. And so with the understanding that this would be represented as contracts are being issued for the 26-27 school year. So that's the timing. So why today? Why on March 16th? As you know, we just approved the certified teaching contracts for 26-27. I won't be able to issue those contracts until we have a fully executed personnel policy for the 26-27 school year. Hence, that's why you're approving the salary schedules for this evening and the personnel policies. Once those two things are in line, then we'll be able to issue those contracts for 26-27. So what I want to talk to you about is the multiple layers of leave and protection that we apply, that we have for our staff. And there are multiple slides that are going to go over this that protect our staff from family illness, personal illness, as well as medical situations that are unforeseen. Extended catastrophic leave, which is a provision of catastrophic leave, exists only after all of our other layers of leave have been exhausted. And so what I'll try to do as we move through this, and I'm going to make it as quick as I can, as we move through this, I'll try to highlight what's required by the state, and then what is an additional benefit that we provide for our staff. The first is the layer one, which is our regular sick leave. And this is accumulated at 1 day per month. It has an unlimited accumulation. So that 1 day per month worked is a state requirement. So every employee across the state in schools, they get 1 day per month worked. So anywhere from 10 days to 12 days, depending on the length of your contract. One thing that is different that our district does allow is that the state only requires us to allow for 90 days of accumulation. So that means that once you get to a 90-day cap, then you start losing those days if you don't use them. Our district is a firm believer that we want our sick leave to be an insurance policy. We want our sick leave to protect those employees in unforeseen situations, whether they're personal as well as for their family. I do also want to point out that our sick leave does also, it provides provisions beyond the person themselves and their immediate family. It provides for extended family. It also provides for in-laws as per our policy. And so we've worked really hard with our PPCs over the last several years to really make sure that we're being inclusive of this policy. The next layer of leave that we have is our extended leave. Not to be confused with extended catastrophic. Extended leave is another layer of sick leave that is provided. It's provided at the cost of a substitute deduction. So we have a cost of sub deduction that we publish in our salary schedules. It doesn't matter if the employee is in a position to receive that sub. It just matters that that's a deduction after you've used all of your fully paid leave. We're still paying you your entire daily rate minus that substitute deduction. These are accumulated days. For years 1 and 2, you accumulate 10 days per year. And then for years 3 through 20, you accrue an additional 5 days per year. So the total accrual of this extended leave is 115 days that an employee can have in their extended sick leave bank. Again, this can be used for any personal or family illness that's listed per policy 3.8. So layer number 3 is our catastrophic and dread disease policy. This is an additional, as I told you, I will back up here so that you can see the extended leave is not a form of leave that is provided by other districts. It's also not a state requirement. Catastrophic and dread disease, this is a 30 days of fully paid leave that's provided to an employee that has a catastrophic illness or dread disease. It's hard to define catastrophic illness and dread disease because it looks different for everyone. At one point in time, it required a medical stay, an overnight medical stay per policy. We took that provision out because there were certain employees that weren't able to access that leave because they were just receiving treatment for cancer, and so they weren't actually inpatient, and so they weren't eligible for this policy. So we went back, we reviewed that, we looked at the definitions, and so if there's a catastrophic illness or dread disease diagnosis, it does cover both an extended leave because of an inpatient treatment, but it also covers for extended leave or intermittent leave that's needing to be used for any type of subsequent treatment. I also want to point out that catastrophic illness is offered to most employees. It is not offered to all classifications of employees. In addition to our sick leave policies, we do have other policies that protect against medical situations as well as the birth and adoption of a child. You can see there those policies. We have 12 weeks of fully paid birth of a child policy. We have an additional policy, 3.8, which is, we call it paragraph J. It is parental leave. It's an additional parental leave that's available per policy that is partially paid. And then we also have 12 weeks of fully paid leave for the foster or adoption placement. That the provision 3.8, which is our parental leave, is 30 days of additional pay minus the cost of a substitute deduction. We also have Family Medical Leave Act, which is 12 weeks of 12 weeks of fully protected job protection there. We have workers' compensation. We also have a policy. These are all state requirements. We have leave for injury based on a student assault as well. Addition to what we've already listed, we have medical leaves of absence that's available per policy for staff members. We also offer through cafeteria plans, we have short-term as well as long-term disability that employees can take advantage of. So what does this look like? And I want to be really careful and point out that these are annual accumulations. So the numbers that you see here of 180 days, that's the minimum. If you were to look at this and go back to kind of your recollection of the slide that talks about our sick leave, of a staff member who's accumulated an unlimited amount of sick leave, these numbers are going to go up exponentially. So this is the minimum that an employee year one would have access to for paid leave. And so what I really want to point out here is that this, although when we look at the numbers and we see that this extended catastrophic provision is not accessed on a wide-scale basis, when you look at what the potential would be if all of our employees were taking a look at this and then we continue to provide those types of benefits, we're just unable to look at other benefit options for our staff. Why do we want to look at this provision? I've talked about a few of them, but we really want to make sure that we want to maintain classrooms. We put students' needs first. We want to make sure that we have a certified teacher in every classroom. When an employee is out and we're not able to have those conversations about what's moving forward, they have access to this particular leave, it prevents us from sitting down and having conversations with those staff members to figure out, okay, what is the plan? I can assure you that there are administrators that work for this district that have walked alongside families in those tragic incidents when we've had to go and sit with families that have lost their loved ones, that are dealing with cancer. Our payroll and benefits team, as well as our HR team, we meet with those on a weekly basis. And the goal of those meetings is how do we find the pathway moving forward? And so this is not about how do we terminate an employee. I've been in human resources now for 6 years. We have yet to terminate an employee because of their attendance. Now we do want to put in an emphasis on it because it's important that we have our staff in front of our children. What research says and what we can look at and we can see with our campuses that have higher attendance rates of their staff is that we're going to have higher achievement rates for our students. And so I just want to make sure that we put that out in front, that when our staff is in school every day teaching our students, that's the most effective utilization of our resources. Just taking a look here, consistent instruction, stable classroom leadership, and then a strong student-teacher relationship, making sure that we have staff members in class when they can, and having fully staffed, fully certified staff in those classrooms as well. And when we have policies that don't align with those priorities, then that's when we get off track. The impact on operations, increased workload of colleagues. When staff members, especially, not especially, but both in the certified realm as well as the classified realm, when you have one person that is hired to do a particular job and there are no other people that are available to do that job because of skill set, then it puts an increased workload on others around them, increase or decrease staff morale, as well as additional responsibilities for other staff members. So I just want to make sure that we're really clear here. This is the available, the available sick leave that we have available for our staff. We're not looking to make any removals from our current catastrophic leave. We're just looking at that extended catastrophic leave. I look at this is the safety net of the safety net of the safety net. It is the sick leave, extended leave, catastrophic leave, and then extended catastrophic leave. So the recommendation, if we're looking at making sure that we can support our employees and have stable staffing, but also student continuity, is that we would remove that extended catastrophic leave provision. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
So
Thank
just
you,
to
Dr.
clarify,
Davis.
Mr. Davis, one quick question. I know you said you just got it within 24 hours ago, but you're not even sure. You mentioned one person potentially, but we're not sure of the cost factor.
Make sure my screen is not sharing. So we have, in the last 2 years, we've had one certified person, and the cost of that at $95 a day for approximately 45 days. So that's the real cost. But then we also have to look at the unrealized costs that we have for our classified staff who may not get substitutes. If we have a custodian or an office administrative staff member that will be out that we don't necessarily get a substitute for because of just general kind of maintenance continuity of services. So the unrealized costs here are going to be what's the most important here to really look at and consider.
Thank you.
How many other districts in the state of Arkansas have the partially paid extended catastrophic leave provision?
So this question was asked of me earlier. There are almost 200 school districts. What I can tell you in my analysis of kind of districts our size is no one has this in a district our size. I haven't done an extensive research across all of the other 165 school districts. What I can say is this is a very unusual provision. Prior to the Personnel Policy Committee, we had a Classroom Teachers Association that negotiated salaries and contracts, and so this is kind of a development from that particular model of contract negotiations and benefits development. So to my knowledge, no district our size has any type of provision like this. Other districts may have a sick leave bank where employees will donate days to their leave, and then there would be a committee to review the kind of the withdrawal from those from that bank for catastrophic illnesses or dread disease. But even when I look at the provisions from those sick leave banks, they still have maximum withdrawals of up to 30 days a year.
Has that conversation taken place with our current PPC about sick leave banks and donating time?
What we found is that we have such a robust sick leave policy that if we were to go to regular sick leave and a sick leave bank, that our employees would be losing way more benefits than what we're talking about here. Because we would be talking not only about regular sick leave, we would be talking about extended sick leave, and then just the regular 30 days annual of fully paid catastrophic leave.
Thank you. Yep, Ms. Kraft.
Because I don't know if I'm understanding this right. So you mentioned the cost, part of the cost is to pay that substitute. But is that not pulled from their salary? Am I reading that wrong, that the substitute salary is deducted from that employee's?
So the cost is going to be, if we have to pay someone to come in and do that work,
Right.
when there's a cost of its subdeduction, that doesn't cover the full cost
Okay.
of a substitute. That, we try to keep those numbers very minimal because especially in classifications of employees that have, that make some of our lowest wages. If we were to actually deduct what it would cost for us to pay someone, they would be receiving such a small percentage of their paycheck. And so we've really worked to try to keep those costs low for our employees so that it doesn't have a greater impact on their payment. What I will tell you is that we use those deductions for regular extended leave as well. And so to actually realize that cost and take and deduct from their paycheck the full cost of a substitute would be detrimental to the employee.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I wrote down some questions as we were going through the presentation. Some of them have been answered already, and some of them have not. Remind me, when were we first presented this, where we decided to table it and bring it back?
So we actually, as an administration, tabled
the
it
board.
before it came to the board. We pulled it from the
Okay.
agenda back in August.
In August. So between August and now, I assume that you guys have been meeting as a committee and then with PPCs, right? And we still haven't been able to get the PPCs between August and now, the data that they requested.
The data that they requested last week. So they requested some information from me just a few days ago, and I was not able to get that to them in time. I did not have those requests back in August.
Okay. And then how often is this occurring? You had stated just one incident in the last 2 years, which is wonderful. It is one too many, but then my other question, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. We heard from two individuals that spoke earlier, and then we heard from Ryan. And all three of them were in agreement in their statements that it was the removal of this policy. But you stated it is not a removal, it's kind of a modification. So where's the disagreement here and what they seem to understand out of all these meetings and conversations that they've had, and then what is being presented for us?
I don't have the ability to share my screen, but if you look in your board book and you click on 3.8, there's 3.8, and there should be a red line copy. So if you look at that paragraph that's labeled catastrophic illness and dread disease, that policy, that paragraph in the policy is staying intact minus what's marked out. And so what I just want to make really clear is that the catastrophic illness and dread disease part of the policy is not going away. There's an additional provision at the end of that paragraph that has a partially paid option that we are actually saying and recommending that be removed.
Okay, so oh shoot, going back over here, let me get my presentation back up. On the whys, you know, why are we talking about this now? Okay, here we go. Oh goodness. Maintaining classrooms with fully licensed teachers, ensuring qualified staff for students, managing substitute staffing for extended periods. I do understand all three of these things are extremely important for the success of the students. But it makes it sound like we're doing it for money reasons when you go back to the red line. And then when you come here. So we got two different things going on because we're removing the financial part, the partially paid part, and then we're over here talking about why we're doing it. So why are we doing it? Is it because we're taking away the $95? Or sorry, I'm not the 95, it's the partially paid part. And then right here we have a completely different reason.
So if you look at it, it's not the partially paid leave. If you look, we have other partially paid forms of leave. It's the 180 days annually that we really becomes a burden. When I have a staff member that can use that one provision of that one paragraph of that one policy, when we have other provisions within that policy that can allow a staff member up to 180 days a year, that becomes a staffing issue. And has been a staffing issue in years past. You know, I can go back to a few years ago when we had one staff member that was the only person on staff that we had to do that job. And so we weren't able to go and hire someone else because we had that position there. And we weren't even able to really engage in some of those other strategies that we have. If someone has a catastrophic illness or a dread disease, the first the first people I want them talking to are payroll and benefits and myself, so that we can look at and see, okay, what are we dealing with here? Is this, can we recover? If we can, then let's find the pathway to be able to do that. If we can't, let me connect you with the resources through Arkansas Teacher Retirement, through Social Security. How can I help connect you with those resources so that we can make sure that we are operating fully functional with our staff while maintaining, responsible use of our tax dollars?
Ms. Martinez?
So, while we're on the topic of explaining this, can you just help me stack what we've got? So we've got the sick leave, 1 day a month, and that would be the first option, right? That's level one.
Level one.
Level two is, I'm reading it, extended leave. And it's for a lifetime up to 115 days. And then there's year 0 to 1, 10 days, 2 to 25 days per year, is that right?
So, yes. So what we're looking at is, and I want to kind of go back to the accumulations here. These are annual, these are annual allotments that can be accumulated. So, sick leave, 1 day per month, so we'll use 10 days as our normal year. The second provision of that is extended years 1 and 2, 10 days per year.
Above
the additional 10. And then if you use those days, the 115 day is just a cap on the accumulation. It's not the cap. So if you work beyond 20 years and you've had to use leave from that bank, you're still going to get that accrual up until you get to 115 of those extended leave.
And so extended leave pay is the partial, right, minus the substitute cost. So the next level is this catastrophic and dread disease. And now it's still remaining, right, up to 30 days.
30 days annually.
30 days annually, 75 days for the life or life of the employment. And that's at full pay. So they would have to exhaust extended leave first?
They would exhaust fully paid sick leave first.
Right, yes,
And
that's
then-
what I meant. Sick leave
Yes.
first, exhaust that, exhaust extended leave.
If they are eligible for a catastrophic illness, because you may be eligible for extended leave, but not eligible for catastrophic. So if you're eligible for catastrophic, we would then use that bank of leave first, because it's still fully paid, before we would then go into your extended sick leave.
I see. So, and I like that. The district is wanting to utilize the fully paid options first. That makes sense. And so okay, I guess I understand a little bit more. So the policy stays, the extension and the buildup over time. So we're talking a 20 to 30-year employee who would have a lot of, an enormous amount of sick leave at partial pay, right? The part that we'd be removing of this catastrophic and dread policy is the partial pay accumulation over time.
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned that if this is modified as such, or as proposed in the red line, that the district or the HR department would be able to look at other benefit options. What are those options?
So I don't want to get too ahead of my skis here, but we've engaged with American Fidelity to see, what would it be like to provide some type of safety net for all employees to have that in place. I don't want to get too specific because I don't want to make promises here in a public forum, but other districts I have seen who don't have this type of policy, they provide a more robust long-term disability policy that would be fully paid by the district. Again, that's a benefit that we would want to look at down the road. Obviously, when we're looking at expenses and things of that nature, I can't guarantee that it would replace it immediately. But there are other benefits options that through EBI, which is another benefits provider, as well as American Fidelity, that we can look at to see what's a way that we can have a bigger impact on all 2,000 plus employees that we have.
You'd mentioned earlier that this catastrophic and dread policy is not available to all classified employees, but all certified.
Yes.
Is that right? All
Yes.
certified. You also showed optional short-term and long-term disability. So that is fully paid by the employee if they opt for it,
Yes.
or is there any district supplement?
Those are cafeteria plans that are completely paid at this point by the employee.
Okay.
And there's a kind of a cancer policies, there are long-term, short-term disability, as well as hospital indemnity policies. They go through, every employee that onboards with us goes through a presentation on those particular products that are offered through third-party providers.
So what this sounds like to me is currently we have a self-insured disability benefit versus contracting or working through, like American Fidelity, for the short-term, long-term disability. And I know, just with my experience in HR and corporate world, short-term, long-term disability also is partial pay, typically, if those are utilized and approved, obviously through those admin companies. I'd be interested in seeing that information, the comparison. And I know it's utilized low, but I'd like to see if that partial pay for short-term and long-term disability through a vendor, if that is significantly less partial pay. Sometimes they range from 60 to 70% of the salary or annual wages. But I would like to see more information. One last question I have, and this is specifically for classified employees. Does the district utilize temp agencies? Because I know whether it's office admin or janitor, sometimes we can get temporary help without a hire. Do we utilize temp agencies?
We do for certain instances. Now, if we are able, to use our own self-employed substitutes, we do that. But there are specific instances where we have used temp agencies to cover, major issues with custodial where we needed to hire in, 5 or 10 people, nurses as well. One reason why we avoid that when we can is because of the penalty that we pay to Arkansas Teacher Retirement when we outsource an employee that we could be hiring.
Thank you. That's all the questions that I have. A comment I think for us to consider is that, I would propose that we look at this a year from now, because obviously we'd have to approve salary schedules for the upcoming year. But given I think the need for additional information, I would be inclined to, reject this recommendation to allow for at least one more year of this benefit that's not widely used, and then we can decide with more information in a year from now.
Yeah, maybe even we look at it in December or January, right? So the employees would be aware of what's potentially coming to them instead of being right now.
Board members, any other discussion?
Just say I would feel so much better about this if our PPCs were in agreement. That's important. And I'm sure you've presented the same information to them that you've presented to us, but it's important that they understand and they know. And if we're gonna change something, I think we do need to have an alternative, or if we're gonna take something away, then maybe we do have that information on American Fidelity or whatever the other options might be, so that if this is something that does have to go, we have something else that we can maybe provide or offer that would be comparable before we remove it, if that makes sense.
And to kind of echo that, I would like to see maybe additional collaboration with the PPCs. I know to you guys that, what you just said, the stacking made sense. I mean, I can think that through. But if I'm an employee, do I really understand that? I mean, there's so many variations of what you just said. I'm facing a potential terminal illness as an employee. I have 75 days here, 115 days here. I have sick time. I have to pay for some of this. I don't know if there's a way, and I know there's state guidelines that you have to work within, but if there's some way to clear that up to say, hey, okay, this happens and then this happens, instead of this happens and this could happen and this can happen and this can happen, that maybe you can clean it up all together in one big proposal. Certainly. In the wintertime or something.
Certainly. What I would say is that we have a combination of policies that we have that are legacy policies that, and that term is prior to about 2020. We adopted Arkansas School Boards Association model policies. We kept legacy policies. We have been adding benefits such as the fully paid maternity leave, birth and adoption, adoption and foster of a child. So we've added benefits. This is the first time that we've looked at, okay, we've added 3 benefits, so let's take a look at, okay, if these are the things that we're adding, how do we make sure that our policies, which are a blend of legacy policies and Arkansas School Board Association model policies, how do we kind of commingle the additional benefits that we're drawing in? So it's very good feedback.
Forgive me, as it's my first time, but should we decide to table this issue, from a procedural standpoint, do we need to make a motion to table the issue as presented? Or see if we have a motion and a second to proceed?
I feel like Brad kind of made a motion a minute ago. I don't know.
I just want to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence in
I think he
regards to
he made a
the proper
recommendation.
protocol.
Yeah,
I've got one more thing before we get tied up into motions, is there is another provision that is listed on the abstract, which is a change to policy 3.1, that I would just kind of bring you back to. That was approved by our certified policy committee. And so if when you're tabling, if your language could be specific to the sick leave policies so that we can approve the policy 3.1 provision, that would be helpful.
And that's the national board
Yes.
certification
Yes.
language.
Which essentially would read, consider adopting the licensed and classified personnel policy changes 3.1 and tabling 3.8 and 8.5. Is that correct?
Correct. I'd like to like to put a date on that table as well, to sometime in the winter or early spring, just so we're not getting back to these contract dates.
I mean, we have representation, Mr. Gray here, and I mean, is there a reasonable timeline that we could probably?
Just the policy, the committee is seated in October, and so when we look at those dates, by the time you get seated, it's a new committee, kind of evolves over the years. So I would think that December.
Yeah, I think by winter of next school year, we could absolutely have something.
Does that seem fair to you, sir? That you could?
So do I have a motion to consider adopting the licensed and classified personnel policy changes 3.1, tabling 3.8 and 8.5 upon further discussion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Kraft. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Garner. It has been moved and seconded to approve the revisions as stated. Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. It seems as if that motion carries with a vote of 7-0. Up next, we will consider approving salary schedules for the 2026-27 calendar year. Mr. Mahan?
Yes, this was a presentation that you received at the last board meeting, and Charles will bring it forward again with a recommendation to just maintain our existing salary schedule.
Thank you very much. You have an abstract before you that provides some background, some information, as well as a recommendation for the motion, as well as the attachment of the salary schedules that we're referring to. So there was a presentation and a discussion last month, and so we're now ready to present salary schedules for your approval.
Mr. Garner, you may want to take a moment to just kind of glance over that as you weren't here, but there's 6 of us, should be pretty well up to speed.
Sorry. Sounds like there's no major changes to the salary schedule as well.
There are no changes.
Okay.
And so with that being said, I will entertain a motion to approve the salary schedules for 2026-27 as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Kraft. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hall. It has been moved and seconded to approve the salary schedules for 2026-27. Any further discussion? That being said, all in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. And again, that is approved with a unanimous vote of 7-0. This is always a fun one. Here, a presentation from Dr. Jones regarding plans for graduation that includes inclement weather plans, but that won't be the case because my daughters are graduating this year and we will have sunshine.
Yes, Dr. Jones will do a presentation on the backup plan to graduation in the event of rain. You all know this is a pretty passionate subject every year. There's been a lot of work in the past on getting survey data from our students and parents of what they want as the backup plan. And also certainly want to make sure you understand what the cost is for using the largest venue that we're aware of to ensure that our parents have at least 10 tickets, and I'll say at least 8 to 10 tickets. I don't want to be off a number for graduation at that said event. So Dr. Jones?
Yes, sir. Graduation is a little bit less than 2 months away now. We did make one change to the actual day already. We used to start graduation at 7, now we started at 6. A few years ago, we changed the times of graduation a couple times, trying to avoid the weather. So having that 6 o'clock start time allows us to move it around a little bit if we need to. And if we are able to do it at 6, it gets everybody home a little bit sooner. So we like the 6 o'clock time. The valedictorian and the salutatorian does have a role. We do that because sometimes when we have tryouts for the speeches, they're not able to always make in the top 3 to give a speech. So we do at least want to honor them in that way by allowing them to be the master of ceremonies of the graduation. But in order to be considered, you have to be in good academic standing. You can't get suspended from school and things like that. You have to be a quote-unquote good student to be able to submit a video for the panel to review. And the top 3 candidates are selected for that evening. We have a staging area at the convention center that will also have a live stream option that will be available in case everybody isn't able to get in that comes. This thing working? Thank you. So typically in the past, Mr. Mahan said that we have polled the kids to determine, and the questions were, do y'all want to, let me back up a little bit. We used to have our inclement weather graduations at UFAS, at their arena, and there was a cost and things associated with that. So with our new arenas at Northside and Southside, our plan was to, in the event that we needed to pivot to an inclement plan, that we would just go to our arenas. The issue with that is the actual size of the floor is not very big when you're setting up for a graduation, and we're pushed up like right to the edge. And the number of tickets that we're able to offer was about 4 or 5 per family, and that gets real hectic for the people that have to deal with the behind-the-scenes stuff. So Mr. Mahan, a couple years ago, had the idea of, let's see what it looks like at the convention center, with the main why behind that we're able to give students 10 tickets as opposed to 5, and allows for a lot more people to attend the ceremony. So we issue those tickets the morning of graduation when we have a graduation practice that morning, and I'll go ahead and show this next slide. We typically in the past have asked the kids, what do you want to do? Do you want to have 2 graduations with more tickets? And the 2 graduations would be, we would have A through L, get everybody out, and then have M through Z. And the number one thing that they always said is they wanted to stay together, which allowed for just a fewer amount of tickets for the families. So with us going to the convention center, there is a cost. And because of that, I didn't even ask them what did they want to do. This is what we're going to do in the event that there's an inclement pivot, because as you see up there, for each night, we rent the theater because that's where we stage before graduation, and that's where we allow the extra citizens that want to come in and watch the live stream can come into the theater, so we're charged for that. And then they did waive an administrative fee for us because we're a school district, so appreciative for that. And then we have the sales tax on there. So the grand total of $21,133.50. And we have to pay that whether we use it or not, because they have to pay their staff to set everything up. So I don't really like that, but I do understand the why behind that. So we've already paid the $21,000, and that's what we'll do in the event that we do have to pivot to the convention center. So any questions you guys have related to that? Yes, sir.
Mr. Garner? Quick question. I mean, I totally understand that the city has to make money, but I'm a little disappointed in the city that they're charging their own school district $21,000. I mean, and in the future, I mean, if we need to go to a city board meeting or we need to get some sort of experience, I mean, I'll raise my hand to do that, because I understand that maybe if we don't use it, they charge us $5,000 or something to pay for their labor. And if we do use it, then certainly we pay the $21,000. But $21,000 to potentially not use something seems, I mean, that's a third of a teacher, right? So, I mean, and I just can't imagine that the public would be okay with the city and because they're not going to use it, right? Nobody's going to use those facilities on a Thursday and Friday night in May. They're highly unlikely. So, I mean, I just, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to me. So maybe in the future or next year or something, we all work together. If needed, you guys can decide. But surely that Jeff Dingman or somebody down at the city hall would understand that the Fort Smith School should not be paying $21,000 to not use something, especially when the Fort Smith City Board used this building, I believe, for free for decades. So, I mean, just something, certainly not your fault, sir, and I'm not pointing fingers at you, just something to think about when we go forward next year.
Well, Mr. Garner, I did my best at begging.
I bet you did. I'm sure they're not the easiest to deal with.
Well,
right?
and
So-
to your point, though, Oakview Group decides that now, right? Not the city. I mean, the city is given Oakview.
They are management, but I think
management
we
of
could
the-
lean on them very heavily, or
Right,
if
I don't know
we
how
should at
much-
least make a,
Yeah.
I mean, we're really, it's right pocket, left pocket money here, right? I mean, and I get there's a fee, whether that's, 300 man hours to set up at $25 an hour that we have to pay to cover their cost to set stuff up that we don't use. And if we do use it, we pay the $21,000. But if we don't, I think most citizens would think that would be crazy to literally writing a check to the city of Fort Smith. So,
Yes, sir.
I also would be interested in at least entertaining conversations with friends of the district, friends of the community in the private sector, to at least see if there's any sort of generosities to help us offset this cost. And I don't necessarily know who that responsibility would fall on, but that may be something to at least entertain should we have to cross that bridge.
Yes, sir.
We've done some of that in the past. That's a good thought. We have done that in the past on other events, so that's a good idea.
and great job having a backup plan, right? I mean, hats off to you for having a plan. So.
Pretty cut and dry. Cross your fingers it doesn't rain. That's the best thing. You know what I mean? Any questions? Dr. Jones, thank you. Again,
Thank
this
you.
is a presentation item only.
Just an update on that too, just so you all know, if we watch the weather very closely, and if we see a window even at 8 p.m., we push things back. And we've gotten to the point the rain stopped right at 8 p.m., but there is such a desire to be on the field that we really try. So we're going to be very fluid, try to work around the weather if at all possible.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Mahan. Up next, we'll hear an update of grades 3 through 10 Atlas interim assessment results. Mr. Mahan.
Yes, Dr. Minton and Ms. Gladden will be presenting some new data.
Good evening, President Whitaker, board members, Mr. Mahan. Tonight's academic achievement presentation will spotlight the results from our second Atlas interim assessment. Go ahead. You can go ahead and, if you want to. Yeah, that'd be fine. Okay. You may remember, some of you may remember who were with us previously, that Ms. Gladden shared the results from our first Atlas interim assessment that was administered in November. We have a second interim, or we had a second interim assessment in February. Both interim assessments measure students' progress in English language arts, mathematics, and science. What's important, really important to note about each of these interim assessments is they measure the totality of the standards that students are expected to master by the end of the school year when they take the Atlas summative exam. So that's just a little intro into a deeper dive that Ms. Gladden will share with you regarding our Atlas II interim results.
Okay, this chart shows the 3rd through 5th grade interim 2 results for English language arts, math, and science that we took in February. And as Dr. Minton said, it's important to remember that this tested all the standards from the entire school year. And at the bottom, you can see the percentage of the district percentage of students scoring proficient, as well as the state. So let's compare between interim 1 taken in November and interim 2 taken in February. This chart, you'll see green shows an increase in the percentage of students showing proficiency. Yellow shows a decrease in the percentage of students showing proficiency, while white shows no change. So as you can see, there's a lot of green. So that's a big celebration. One trend we did notice was the decrease in the number of students showing proficiency in 5th grade English language arts. So to address this 5th grade trend and any of the skills that students didn't score well on, schools are they are working hard to provide interventions real time for students. They're working to look at what they missed and provide an intervention. In 3 of our elementary schools, they have modified their schedule to provide a 3rd intervention time, with our instructional specialists providing the interventions for these most at-risk 3rd graders. So let's we looked at interim 2, let's look at how did we grow, or how did we increase our percentage from interim 1 to interim 2? Oops, I'm sorry, is it out of order? Wait a minute, okay. So let's look at this. Shows how did students not just how did they grow we looked earlier how their percentage of their percentage of proficiency grew. This is, did students raise their score? So this is what was their score in November and how did they grow it in February. And as you can see, we see that we've got some good percentages there. So let's look at now the same information for 6 through 12. This chart shows the Atlas interim in English language arts, mathematics, and science for the 6 through 12, and the percentage that they scored proficient. At the bottom, the district percentage of students scoring proficient, along with the state. Now we're going to compare Atlas Interim 1 with Atlas Interim 2, and you see plenty of green. Again, it shows we're moving in the right direction. Our secondary schools are providing interventions as well. They're working hard to make sure that they stop and intervene in the time that they can, as soon as they can. For instance, one school has intervention built into every period of the day, every class period, so that students can address skills they missed each week. Another school is working, or all of our schools actually, are working to have schools set goals so that they can increase their score from fall to spring and even to summative to motivate students. And then everyone's getting creative in taking test prep and trying to make it more fun and like tests and into interactive games and things so that we can help students feel prepared but not pressured. So let's switch now again from the students scoring proficient and to students, the percentage of students who increase their score. And I want, as when you look at these, we see that the percentages are higher, but not everyone agreed that we're still looking at this, and we want every student showing growth so that we get all of these at 100%. So I want to leave you with just thinking about that. I want to celebrate everyone who's working really hard to help our students grow, and with a quote that growth isn't about being perfect; it's about being better than you were yesterday. Do you have any questions?
Board members, any questions, comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
So when we compare our district to the state, are we typically lower than the state average? So we see percentages of proficiency, and we're a couple points lower than the state average. Is that normal for us, or have we gotten closer to that state average?
We have gotten closer to the state average when we take the Atlas summative, which we will administer to students in April and May. That's not every year, and that's not every subject.
Okay.
And I'm assuming as soon as we get all the information that you've got, we'll get it all the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Board members?
I just now thought of this. First of all, thank you for meeting with me the other day. So we talked about this, so much clarity on the questions I had. When, I know you said this and I already forgot though, how soon will we have those results from the Atlas when they take it in April?
We are told that we'll have the results within 48 hours of the test administration.
Good deal. Anybody else? You got off easy tonight, huh? This is a presentation item only, so no action is required. Up next, we will have board members forum. Just as a reminder, a board work session will be held on April 7th at 5:30 p.m. here in the auditorium. And April's regularly scheduled board meeting will be April 27th at 5:30. Board members, other items you would like to request to bring forward at that meeting, or do you have any other information you'd like to share? Let's make it easy. Let's start to our left.
Thank you, Dalton Person, for your years of service. Welcome, Matt Garner, to the board. Thank you for running. Got to visit a few schools today. Some great work at Kimmons, Bonneville, and Park. So thank you for setting that up. I think it's really great to see the work that our students do, but especially the teachers. And you know, I've heard that teaching is a calling, and that teachers show up because of that calling, and that's the number one driver. So I saw that today, definitely with our teachers. Thank you.
Same thing, Dalton took off, so I was going to say it was great having his leadership for the time I've been on the board. And welcome, new board member, Mr. Garner. And thank you, Dr. Davis and Ryan Gray, for your collaboration together. I think it's very impressive that this is the first time there's been a little bit of a rub with it. And I have no doubt that y'all will find something where it's a common ground. So thank you to all the presenters again, and for the Southside Choir and stuff, or theater production. They did a phenomenal job. That is a great play if y'all haven't ever seen it. So anyway, so that's all I got.
Thank you, Ms. Lott. Ms. Kraft.
All right, well, cheers to a new year and a new board. Thanks to everybody, and thanks to Dalton, of course, for doing all of this. Mr. Gardner, we get paid in snacks. Leslie provides the best snacks, so enjoy.
Snacks included.
Yeah, snacks included. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you guys for the warm welcomes. Look forward to the next 6 years, at least 6 years with you guys, and to Mr. Mahan for everything he's done, and to Leslie, of course, for getting me on board. I do think I have to get a board book account, but I'll get with you on that. So thank you guys. Look forward to it.
Easy enough. Ms. Martinez.
Just want to thank all the speakers today. You know, I heard everything you guys said, and the theater kids, and just welcome, Mr. Garner.
Ms. Hall.
Thank you to the speakers as well, and I echo what I think it was Ms. Lott that said. It's impressive. This has been the first time that, you know, you guys have just respectfully agreed to disagree on something, as much as you've tried, you know, worked together since August. That's really impressive. So look forward to seeing what you guys come up with in the months down the road. My son's back there shaking his head. I'm sorry. I've really enjoyed all the visits today. The state representatives that were able to come, I was so thankful they were able to come, Jay Richardson and Zach Gramlich, so thank you for your time. They were able to see what is coming to Bonneville, right?
Yes, ma'am.
With the charter school. Asked lots of really good questions, learned some good stuff about the future of that, so I'm excited, and I think that's all I have. I'm ready for some warmer weather.
Easy enough. Well, I appreciate you all allowing me to fumble through the board disbursement portion of our board meeting, but appreciate the vote of confidence, and to our vice president and secretary this coming year. Welcome, Mr. Garner. I say this, and I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. We're a part of the best district in the state of Arkansas. And so with that, Mr. Mahan.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo appreciation for Dalton and his leadership, and of course the great work of the entire board over the last 6 years. And again, welcome, Matt, to a great team. And then I concur, the best district in the state and the best board in the state historically. We've always had that here, and we're very proud of that.
Thank you. Ms. Kraft, she's chimed in one more
Hey,
time.
I forgot one thing. I want to publicly say thank you to Mr. Chris Carter, who's been an outstanding principal at Northside High School. It's the end of an era, and we love him dearly. And so I just
Absolutely. Our
wanted
district is,
wanted to say that thank you to Mr. Carter.
Has been blessed to have him. There's been many lives changed because of Chris Carter. So enjoy your what's to come. And that being said, no other business to come before the board. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.